Hello, my name's Tina Carter. I am a dancer, performer, educator and general creative practitioner. I'm based in Nottingham. The type of dance that I teach varies quite drastically and has more so I've expanded into lots of different styles in the last couple of years, but I'm trained as a contemporary dancer and have been teaching dance at a sixth form college for about 17 years. And in the last 2 years, I've moved into community dance. So within that, I've been doing West African dance, ballet, jazz, creative, kind of free dance, expressive dance, contemporary dance, all sorts of stuff. And recently been teaching samba. So having a lovely time just under the umbrella of dance and all its gloriousness. For Dancing Through Time, I've been teaching a fantastic group of women in the community, and we've been doing classical dance, jazz dance and modern dance. So with classical, we looked at classical ballet, and then with the jazz, we looked at all different sorts of jazz, so more kind of rhythmic footwork, Lindy Hop based stuff, bit of Charleston. We've also looked at a bit of Fosse and kind of got our lovely musical theatre vibe going on. With modern dance, we're going to be looking at some Graham, some Horton, some Cunningham and a bit of kind of free contemporary movement as well. So I think it's been really lovely just to look at that sort of bit of dance history and to look at the different responses that the participants have had to those different styles, especially with classical ballet. There's a real sense of nostalgia about it, which it's just been really rewarding actually to bring that to this particular space. I've been dancing for a long time. I first started dancing down in Portsmouth, where I'm from, when I was about just under the age of 4, I think I started, and I was at one dance school until the age of 17. So I've kind of been on that dance school journey. It's very much being part of a family, and that was the Williams School of Dance back in Southsea. And I had 2 fantastic teachers, pair of sisters, Linda and Janet. And I did ballet, tap, modern, and then jazz dance. We weren't a competition school. It was very much, but we would put on, maybe every few years, we put on a big performance at the local theatre. So kind of getting that performance experience and as well as training and going through your grades in those various different dance styles. It really ignited this passion for dance. I nearly didn't dance though. My dad gave me an ultimatum, I think when I'd been dancing maybe about 6 months or maybe even less, but I was very young. And I just remember basically him saying, it's either brownies. I was like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And he's basically, it's either brownies or it's dance. And I was like, I don't want to go to brownies. I don't know why. So I stuck with dance and it served me very well. I wonder sometimes what if I'd said, okay, I'll go to brownies. I would have had a very different life, I think. So I was at a dance school. I got to the age of 17, and in that journey, if you're sort of part of that a school for such a long time, you get to the age where you are a young adult, and you either start teaching the young kids and doing good toes, naughty toes, or you start auditioning for cruise ships. That was the kind of the journey for a lot of those people that wanted to kind of pursue dance. And I just started college, and I was doing my A-levels, and was doing A-levels in art, dance, and drama. And I kind of went, whoa, contemporary dance. And that was my first sort of introduction to it. And I was like, oh, and I really loved choreographing. And I'd never really done that. I think I choreographed 1 solo in my dance school up to that point. So all of a sudden I was like, free movement. There's no set vocabulary. I can kind of move how I want. I can do what I like. And then watching all this stuff that was just really exciting and like I'd never seen before, that wasn't kind of musical theatre related. I got really excited, and for me, as a sort of always an interest in visual art, I kind of started to see dance as art as opposed to entertainment, I suppose. And so I made a choice, and I left my dance school, and I pursued contemporary dance, and then did a degree in contemporary arts, which meant I could still do my movement practice. So I was dancing in the streets of Nottingham, at the castle, and doing lots of site-specific based dance, and then got a job teaching dance and set up an A-level at Bilbao College, whilst also teaching performing arts and drama alongside that. So, and then sort of passing that knowledge and that I suppose expertise with choreography, helping those students or assisting those students get through their own level 3 courses in dance and performing arts. And this last few years, really, I think it's because of experiencing, going along to, you know, workshops by Beat Feet and just sort of experiencing West African dance as a member of the community, that's really taken me on this new journey of training in a particular style, which has been really exciting. And I think that's given me, in the last 2 years, I've kind of been building up a freelance practice, which is what predominantly I am now, and being able to kind of have the confidence to say, well, I'm a dancer, and actually dance is dance. I'm not a dancer in a particular style. It's just, I have a knowledge and a passion, and I get excited by learning different types of dance and then passing that on to other people, so that other people can access that as well. I think part of me thinks that I'm a musician, but without being musically skilled at all, because I love music. For me, a lot of dance comes from the music. I've had such fun making the playlists for the Dancing Through Time workshops. You know, for me, making that jazz playlist, I was just having such a lovely few evenings, you know, of just really connecting with what the music's saying, how I can interpret that in your body for those different styles. And, you know, and it's the same with any kind of genre of dance. For me, it's very much influenced, or the element of the music of that is, they're kind of intertwined. They are connected. The feedback has been just beautiful, especially with the classical. With the ballet, I think some of the feedback has been just in terms of entering a space and being graceful, and because a lot of it has been about poise and just kind of connecting with being a ballerina, which has either been, for some, a childhood dream, never been part of other people's lives. You know, we've had people that have just kind of, I've never even thought about ballet before. Some people that have done it as a kid, or maybe, you know, done it for a couple of years. Done it as an adult, but kind of, you know, I think the way that we've focused these particular classes to make sure that they're accessible for people that don't have any prior dance experience as well, has been to kind of just look at the fundamentals. How does a ballet dancer hold themselves? You know, what works within our own range of movement? You know, if our turnout isn't like this, you know, it's here, but everything's still working in the same way. And it's about kind of owning that space and interpreting that space through the ideas of the dance. And, you know, with the jazz dance as well, it's just kind of like, well, what does a Fosse dancer feel like? You know, we're looking at, and there's some lovely questions actually. Some of the feedback, you know, was like, well, but why? Why is he interested in abstracting or isolating certain body parts? We were like, because, you know, if we're looking at the 1960s and that particular style, it's just like everything in art was happening in that sort of same way, you know, a modern approach. We're abstracting things, and actually he was abstracting parts of the body, and, you know, I mean, looking at patterning and those sorts of things. So I think the feedback has been, it's been really fun, accessible. I think just a really interesting, different insight into perhaps styles of dance that participants haven't experienced before. But yeah, I think the difference has been really nice, because obviously this space and the programme that we offer is incredibly diverse. And I think just doing with the Dancing Through Time, just doing a little kind of insight and introduction to these different styles will maybe spur on some participants to go out and seek that adult ballet class, or, you know, to reconnect with tap dance. You know, after we did a little bit of tap in the jazz workshops, you know, one person was like, I need to go and buy myself some tap shoes. You know, this is it. It's kind of like, okay, do it. This is it. This is the beginning of something. In your own personal journey. So yeah, it's been really special. I've been training in African dance for the last 2 years, I think just over maybe, with Jockey Silla, who's based in Manchester and is a dance artist from the Gambia. And it's been, I've learned so much from her teaching style, but actually I think being able to, I had some time out of dance, not knowing if I could dance again. And for me, that was the kind of my kind of first journey back into it. And there was something about the joy of dance and the rhythm and working with live musicians, you know, and that it's just really connected lots of things that are just very important to me at this stage in my practice. So the idea of rhythm, the idea of moving my body in a very kind of, I suppose, visceral way, just really grounded and kind of like primordial, about connecting where my weight is. And I think now I can see lots of, I've been teaching West African dance in the community as well, using Jockey Silla's kind of choreography, always putting it into context and taking that work into schools as well, kind of, you know, sort of celebrating the vocabulary that I've been learning and kind of passing that on. Taking the movement of Jockey Silla and passing that on to different groups of people to give them a flavour, I think has been really useful. And looking at how movement is structured. And I think as a Western dancer, the idea of what I find really interesting is this idea of not counting, for example, and taking your cues from the musicians and working with all of these different and complex rhythmic patterns and and feeling them as opposed to kind of thinking them. And that has been really valuable. I'm teaching one bear grades at Bilbao College at the moment, and a lot of the time signatures that we're doing here, we're counting in 10s, we're counting in 5s, 6s, and actually just, I think, having been training and continuing to train in West African dance, I think I think that's been a really good sort of foundation and opportunity to free myself from that counting in 8s like we do as Western dancers, you know, and that kind of restriction, and just opening up my movement to other rhythms, other tempos, other time signatures. I don't know, it's good, it's challenging, it's fun, it's different, and I just really get a lot of joy from it, and I like to pass that joy on to children as well as adults. And I think just seeing the different responses to it, I think it's just really accessible, and that's good as well. That's become important in my, become important in my practice too. One of the sort of questions I posed myself a couple of years ago is how can I make what I do as a dancer, as a dance practitioner, relevant to the wider community? And I think with West African dance, I can kind of, I witnessed that, you know, looking at the way that Jockey sort of encourages people of all different experiences to just kind of free up their bodies and, you know, and just move their bodies like they would never think about doing perhaps outside of this space, you know, and seeing how much individuals can grow through just engaging and being uninhibited is really inspirational. I keep myself fit mainly through dance, as opposed to, I do some yoga practice for myself. I love walking. I know my aging body has changed, you know, and will continue to change. So I suppose having an awareness of that, I think, is really important, and just listening to my body when I think it kind of is pretty good at telling you when things are okay, when things are working, when things aren't okay, and maybe trying things differently. So yeah, just some regular stretching, things like Pilates. There's a fantastic Pilates teacher called Serena who works in Sherwood, so she does a really good class. Polly Wiltshire for yoga. So I think just variety is really important, you know, combined with walking. I'm not much of a runner, I used to, but I've got false hips, so I tend just to go on a nice long walk now. This space, what it's like to teach in this space is pretty special. I know this space before When Women Gather made their home in this space, I should say. I'd been here before when None Such was here, and Ed Boot ran his theatre company from here, and I'd actually performed in this space, and it was through him that actually I became familiar with Miss Morrison School of Dance, and then ended up, I think I've met a few people who had come to the school. I have, since this project has happened as well, you know, accessed that beautiful footage, the documentary of footage of actual dancing happening in this space. And there's something for me that was really nostalgic. I'm obviously not from Nottingham, but I recognise this sort of space. Definitely the old church hall that I used to dance in with the splintered floor. It was not as beautiful as this space with the stained glass windows and things like that. You know, it wasn't a concert hall, it was very much just like a big room. But there's something about the ballet bar, there's something about knowing how much warmth and care and community kind of is growing here, you know, on a week by week basis. I think that it feels for this particular Dancing Through Time kind of work that we've been doing, it feels beautifully nostalgic, and it just feels like it's very respectful to the space as well. You can kind of see, you know, the identity of the space as perhaps it was. So yeah, it's beautiful, it's special, and I think with the growing kind of community that we've got, that are people that are regularly coming, new people every time as well, I think there's something about that is just really necessary for the city of Nottingham and really fruitful. And so yeah, I think some good stuff happening, great stuff.